Hello, this is Media Matters. My name is Oluchi. So today we're going to talk about long distance relationship. What does it mean? Long distance relationship is an intimate relationship between partners who are geographically separated from one another. This is also the same for long distance marriage. Now, why do people go into this kind of relationship, you may ask? Well, it could be for a lot of reasons. It could be for work, it could be for school, it could be just because to save money, and it could also be because people just met online. So there are advantages and disadvantages of long distance relationship. The disadvantages of long distance relationship is that it is expensive. It is expensive because if you have to travel to meet your partner, you're going to have to pay for transportation, whether by air, by land, by sea. Even if you decide to walk, you're still going to have to spend money eventually. It's expensive also because you have to constantly recharge data for your cell phone or any other mobile device that you use to communicate. For those in regions where they have to pay per minute or pay, load a prepaid card, they have to constantly be available for a conversation, even when it seems like it's starting to get expensive. Another disadvantage is that you will miss your partner quite often. Loneliness, you're gonna get very lonely. You're gonna wonder why you got into this relationship in the first place. You cannot really do what lovers do. You can't hold hands. You can't speak to one another face to face. You can't take a walk together. You can't have a nice dinner. You can't go on, normal dates. You can't share your feelings. You don't know whether they're happy or they're sad. Even when you're communicating online, it's not the same because of the loneliness that comes with it. Cheating comes in. Some people end up cheating on their partner because, hey, out of sight, out of mind, you can't see the person, and you feel like you could just go out and do whatever you want to do. So that's one bad side of long distance relationship. Now, this is not the same for everyone, but it does happen. Eventually it will happen. Now, it's stressful and emotionally demanding. It's stressful in the sense that if you are dating someone overseas, right, you will have to stay awake or you have to be available to match up with their time zone. So if, for example, I'm dating someone in Nigeria, by the time I'm recording this video, it should be around 4 a.m., whereas it's 10:43 p.m. right here. So imagine staying awake past your bedtime just so that you can wait for your partner to get up or do whatever. The stress in keeping up with the communication, constantly texting back, calling back, staying on phone longer than usual, just trying to stay, in communication. It can be overwhelming. It can be very, very frustrating because in a normal situation, you're not always on your phone. You're not always walking around talking to somebody all the time or texting someone all the time. Sometimes you gotta put your phone down and sometimes you're just gonna take a break. But because based on the difference, based on the time zone, it could be maybe they're bored and they want to talk and you are available and you don't feel like talking, but you just have to do it so that you can make your partner happy. So that's just one of those things about it. Many long distance relationships will end sooner or later. Yes, if the first few points doesn't work out, if you don't fix it, if you don't make it work, eventually the relationship might start to fade. But like people say, you need love to sustain a long distance relationship. Very serious love, not the fake one. Long distance relationships are only a temporal solution. I always say, make an effort to close that gap. Don't stay in a long distance relationship for a very long time. Even if you just met, even if the person lives overseas, eventually you guys need to decide who's going to move permanently to be with the other person. But if you continue to stay in this kind of relationship for a very long time, it's going to put a strain in your relationship and it might lead to breakup. It might lead to constant fights. Someone might feel overwhelmed, or someone might feel like they're not doing enough or doing too much. So you may develop in different directions pretty soon. Priorities change as adults. We're constantly looking for what's going to make our life better. So it could be meeting new people, it could be a new job, it could be just about anything. But the moment your focus is taken away from this distance, from this partner that you have to constantly communicate with, it's going to take a while it's going to take a whole lot to get you back to that groove. And also, there's no intimacy. I mean, you're dating this person, you don't see them, you don't touch them, but you love them, you share, your thoughts, you spend hours on video calls, you talk to each other on the phone, you text each other, you share photographs, you just do basically everything, but no intimacy. So that little part is missing. And if you cannot control the urges, eventually it's going to lead back to cheating, which is the point I made already. Let's not get carried away with the disadvantages. Yeah, it's kind of like scary. Not everyone can handle a long distance relationship. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of willpower, a lot of commitment to be in this type of relationship. Some people cannot stay far away from their partner. Some people don't mind. But then again, I also think that we should keep in mind that this is only a temporal solution, that we have to eventually work towards staying close to one another. So here are the advantages of long distance relationship. Long distance relationship gives you time to yourself. You don't have someone all around you all the time, unless you're someone who likes to be surrounded by people. I am an introvert. I like my space. Sometimes I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be stressed. I don't like a lot of people around me. And yeah, if you're in a normal relationship, that tends to be a time when you feel like you're being suffocated. You need that gap, you need that space. And if you constantly feel suffocated, maybe long distance relationship would be a good option for you. But I'm not advising that you run away or something. It has to be a natural process. So you can field your options. You can weigh things. It gives you time to think about what you actually want out of the relationship. You just have to note that whatever decision you make is eventually going to affect the other person. Long distance relationships gives you more flexibility. You may be able to build trust. Yes, it takes a lot of trust to not panic if you can't see your partner, if you can't speak to your partner at a certain time or day or whatever. Yeah, you will learn, you just have to trust them. You just have to believe that they are doing the right thing, they are being good wherever they are, and they're not going to disappoint you. Now, thanks to technology, you can keep in touch with the person at any time of the day, either by phone call, by texting, by video calls. It just makes it easier than just sitting there and waiting for a letter to come in the mail, or you running out to the phone booth to make a phone call. So everything is pretty much right around you. So thanks to technology on that. And you will appreciate each other more. When you're in a long distance relationship, it's very intoxicating. It's exciting. You just can't stop thinking about this person. I think the distance adds to the excitement. The fact that you can't have them makes your heart want them more. Not that you can't have them, but you're not there, you're not physically present. You can't have them when you want them. So it just kind of makes it more exciting for you. You long to see one another. You keep in touch. You constantly profess how you feel. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When you're in a long distance relationship, you tend to share your emotions more than when you're physically with someone, because when you're in a long distance relationship, you need constant reassurance of how they feel about you. But in real, you see them and you can easily look at them and say, you know what, yeah, they love me, they're this, they're that. You can just say whatever in your head and move on. But in a long distance relationship, you have to constantly remind your partner that you love them, you miss them, you care about them, you blow kisses, you do all that. And of course, if your partner can come to you, why not? Or if you can go to them. But again, this brings us back to why it's expensive, because if you have to fly to see your partner, then eventually the flight tickets can start to drain your pocket, or whomever that is paying for it, or even if both of you are contributing towards it. How long do you want to continue paying for a flight ticket to go see the person or for the person to come see you? Even if you're driving, you still have to spend money on fuel. Even if you're walking, you still have to eat on your way. So no matter how you look at it, as far as someone have to leave their location to come see you, it is going to be expensive. And if this money is coming out of one person's pocket, eventually they're going to get tired of spending it and they start looking for alternatives, which is trying to see if they can date someone closer. So whatever you do, make sure you guys are on the same page. Make sure you make effort to see each other and make sure that this long distance relationship doesn't continue for a very long time. Make sure you guys have plans to be together eventually. So how do you make long distance relationship work? Communication. Communicate. Make sure you guys are always talking. No matter what happens, let them know where you're going, what you're doing, what time, how you're feeling and all that stuff. And also, like I said, it's gonna get overwhelming and emotionally draining, but that's just one of those sacrifices you have to make for long distance relationship. When I used to be in a long distance relationship, this is what I would do, because my partner was in a different continent and his time was about 10-11 hours away from mine. So it's like when I'm coming home from work in the evening, he's just starting his day. So he's always a day ahead of me. But we made it work. So what I used to do is I would text him, I would just text, hello, good morning, just came back from work, going to bed. And then that would be it. I wouldn't have to wait for him to reply because, of course, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. Then I know that before I close my eyes or before I wake up in the morning, he's probably text me probably a million times. Sometimes he'll be like, wake up, you're still sleeping. What's going on? And all that, even though he knows that it's too early. But that's the thing. The moment you guys stop communicating, it feels like, oh, what's going on? What is he doing? What is she doing? And even if they know that you're asleep or you're busy, it's always like, okay, they start worrying, they start thinking too much all about it. So, and of course, I sometimes I would, when I come home, I'll just, if I know that they are expecting my call, I would just turn on my video camera, just place it in a nice part of my room and, be talking to them and walking around. It creates that sense that they are right there with me in the room while I'm busy doing other things in the house. I could take the camera to the kitchen while I make myself something to eat. I could take it to the living room or just any other part of the house. So they themselves, they also feel like, yes, I'm very much around her. I'm part of her. Just so you know, this is not compulsory. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to go through all that stress. But this is just one of those things that you have to do. No matter how annoying it is, you just have to communicate. I do not like talking on the phone for a very long time. I don't even like talking on the phone. I'm a text kind of person because I like to read. I like to read what people are saying. So another point on how to make it work is understand that your partner can't see or touch you. So be aware that failure to communicate can hurt them. So make an effort to see each other as often as possible. Make plans to see each other within the first 3 months. After 3 months, if you're meeting the person for the first time, after 3 months, go visit them or let them come visit you, whatever the case may be. Make your assessment and see if this is someone you want to continue this long distance relationship, because you're going into the real work, you're going into the hard work, and you don't want to spend 6 to 8 months chatting with this person only to meet them in full and feel like, you know what, I don't think this person is worth it. So make sure you see each other on a timely manner. Don't wait forever. And lastly, make plans to close the gap between you two by planning whether to move in together or to move to the same location where the person is. Like I said earlier, don't continue this relationship for forever. Don't do it for 2-3 years or 5 years without commitment, without knowing what what you want out of it. What do you think about long distance relationship? Have you been in a long distance relationship? How did it work? What did you do? What was the solution? Or what advice would you give to those planning to go into a long distance relationship? Well, thank you so much for listening, and do have yourself a good day. Bye-bye.